Good morning. It is Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. Hopefully your new year's been off to a great start. We're having a great day here in Hampton Roads, serving Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina. My name is Craig Moller. I'm a meteorologist here at 13 News Now, and we're so glad you've joined us here on the Weather Desk. We do this show each and every weekday morning starting at 9 o'clock. And we talk about today's top weather headlines. So what are some of the topics and headlines we'll be covering today? Well, we're going to start off by taking a look at who has been really cold this winter. We'll explain how many states have seen temperatures dip below zero so far this winter. We'll get into that. We're also going to talk about the relationship between cold air and migraines. Here's some correlations there. So a couple of cold weather stories to get things going. We're also going to take a look at another rescue from the ice. Yesterday it was on Long Island. We showed you some video from a week ago where there was an 8-year-old boy that was pulled from a semi-frozen pond. He had fallen into that frigid water and he was saved. We've got another rescue, this time from New Jersey. We'll show you more on that. And we've got a new lightning capital of the United States. We're going to show you which state in 2025 had the most intense lightning. It's not Florida. Florida has been the lightning capital, seems like forever. But I mean, as long as we've been keeping tabs on it, I've always known Florida to be the state with the most intense lightning. Well, there's a new captain of lightning, I guess, across the country. We'll let you know what state has the title. All right. We also have a look at what will look like a brighter, bigger Jupiter. It's because Jupiter's in opposition. We'll talk about that. And we're going to have a look at the week ahead, not just for Hampton Roads. Certainly we'll focus a lot on our Hampton Roads weather as well. But we're going to take a look across the country because I know so many of you may be tuning in from other parts of the country and, in fact, other parts of the world. We're happy to have you with us. And we're going to be covering all of this on today's Weather Desk. Now, I mentioned we're going to get into the cold weather stories here in just a moment. But, you know, a big story that we've been covering for weeks has been all of the rain in the western U.S., specifically California up into Oregon and Washington State. There's still some rain up there. The flood threat up in Washington State is not as great as it has been in some other areas. California continues to see quite a bit of rain, and I wanted to show you there are some flood advisories. So I'll just mention that today as we are starting off. You can see these areas north of San Francisco along the coast there, including Marin and Sonoma counties here. There are 231,000 people impacted by these flood advisories, which will run through 12:30 Pacific Standard Time. So again, they had the rain overnight. Now they've got the flood advisories. They're actually starting to catch a little bit of a break here. There's more rain up in the Pacific Northwest, but for California, that's the area that is under the flood advisories, and you can see things, again, a little bit quieter yesterday, but that rain continued to fall across parts of California. And now this morning, you can see another batch of light rain pushing into the Washington coastline. We've also been tracking some light rain and some mixed precipitation around the Great Lakes and back over into Wisconsin. This was yesterday afternoon. As we take it through the overnight, you'll notice the light precip pushing into the lower peninsula of Michigan. And now we've got some light rain and some mix and some snow back across parts of Wisconsin. Things are looking very quiet across the southern tier of the United States. Well, you're taking a look at temperatures right now, and while it is a little mild for the moment, you know, we're just into the official beginning of winter with the winter solstice that occurred in late December. Meteorological winter started in early December, and again, we're into winter now, but it's still fairly early. You know, some of the coldest months still to come as we get into late January and February across the country. Certain parts of the U.S. typically experience milder conditions from time to time, but you might be wondering, of the 50 states, how many of them have actually hit sub-zero temperatures? My colleague, meteorologist Hunter Forrest, finds out.
As we enter the depths of winter, you may be wondering, have all 50 states ever dropped below 0 degrees? Surprisingly, almost. All but one. Even states known for mild winters haven't been spared from extreme cold. Florida, for example, experienced a remarkable cold snap in the late 1800s when Tallahassee plunged to 2 degrees below zero, proving that even subtropical climates can feel Arctic air. Virginia has also seen its share of deep freezes, dipping below zero plenty of times, including a record low of minus 30 degrees during a brutal cold wave of 1985. Then, of course, there's Alaska, which easily claims the crown for the coldest temperatures in the nation. In 1971, the thermometer dropped to an almost unimaginable minus 80 degrees, the coldest temperature ever recorded in the United States. But despite cold extremes touching nearly every corner of the country, one state stands apart. Hawaii has never officially recorded a sub-zero temperature. Even at its highest elevations, the coldest reading came in at 12 degrees back in 1979. Chilly by island standards, but nowhere near the bone-numbing cold seen elsewhere. So while 49 states have endured temperatures below zero, Hawaii remains the lone standout. It's a striking reminder of just how diverse the U.S. climate can be. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
Good information there, Hunter. And it's interesting, again, while Hawaii has not been below zero, you don't think about it a lot, but they do get snow. And I was just looking at some video earlier this morning of some of the snow up in the higher elevations of Hawaii. They've been dealing with quite a bit. So you get up into the mountains and you do get those snowy areas in Hawaii. You always think of the tropical climates, and certainly the beaches are always nice year-round with much warmer conditions. But those mountaintops in Hawaii, they can see some snow as well. All right, we're going to take a look at temperatures. I'm just going to show you the general trend here over the next couple of days because we have some more cold air that is set to eventually pour over much of the United States. You see it kind of spilling in to the northwestern and north central U.S. as we go through the day Friday. We're actually going to see a little surge of warmer air for the next couple of days, but eventually this cool down returns to Hampton Roads into next week. We're going to see temperatures dipping back below average. And I'm going to have more on our extended forecast in a moment. But as the colder weather sets in, it can impact our bodies in more ways than we think. For some, these changes in the atmosphere can actually trigger migraines. Now, for those sensitive to the cold, staying inside on frigid days can help. But if you do need to go outside, you've got to bundle up and cover your head and neck.
What the weather does is that sudden change in barometric pressure can change or create what we call a disequilibrium in our sinuses. When you think about our sinuses as cavities full of air, and when there is a disequilibrium, for those who have migraines, that in itself can trigger and create a pathway to one's migraine occurrence.
Now, the cold weather itself, the cold temperatures aren't what necessarily does that pressure change. But when you have the differences between the warmer and colder air and you get those super cold surges, a lot of times that is kind of ushered in with a strong cold front and deep areas of low pressure, and that could really create the issues. We don't control the weather, that, but there are other things that migraine sufferers can control, like sleep and exercise. So make sure you take care of yourself and stay alert to those sharp pressure changes, like the front that's going to come in late Sunday, late Saturday into Sunday, ushering in the big cool down into next week. All right, we're going to turn our attention from just the cold to another icy rescue caught on camera. Yesterday we were talking about Suffolk County there on Long Island in New York. Now we're going to turn our attention to New Jersey. This is an important reminder this winter. Stay off the ice. All right, so we did talk about that 8-year-old boy in New York who was rescued after he fell through a frozen pond. Today in New Jersey, we've got a story with police officers that helped save a 13-year-old boy who also got stuck in frigid waters. ABC's Sophie Flay has a look at that dramatic rescue caught on camera.
Body camera footage capturing this dramatic rescue as police in New Jersey rushed to save a boy who fell through the ice. Officers first tried to throw a rope to the 13-year-old, but his hands are too cold to hold on.
The kid was so cold that he couldn't function, and he was screaming to us, "I can't hold it, I can't hold it."
The officers rushing, worried hypothermia might set in.
Once he started screaming that he couldn't feel anything, I think my fatherly instincts kicked in, and I just went out and got him.
Sergeant Joseph Rigger then crawls onto the ice, trying to pull the boy out of the freezing water, but the ice gives way under their weight.
So then at that point I could stand. I was probably just about to my shoulders, so I just started throwing him up on the ice and breaking my way back.
Two other officers then enter the frigid water, working to get the boy to safety. Police in Woolwich Township saying, thanks to their quick decision-making and teamwork, everyone involved was safely rescued and no injuries were reported.
The boy was taken to the hospital but is expected to be okay. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
That is just so scary, but in both cases, yesterday, the story that we shared from New York, and today, that one, everybody's okay. That is just great news. Taking a look at the U.S. here across the lower 48, this is a look at the observed snow depth this morning, and we'll zoom into a few areas that have seen a bit more snow on the ground. Parts of New York State really lighting up the map with these light purples and pinks indicating 18 to 36 inches of snow in these kind of brighter pinks right in here. A lot of snow. Again, 1.5 to say 3 feet of snow in those areas. We've seen some pretty heavy snows in spots of parts of New Hampshire and Vermont. Want to turn our attention back to the upper peninsula of Michigan. Again, a lot of these areas seeing that kind of 2 to 3 foot snowfall amount on the ground, some locally higher amounts in a few spots. So a lot of heavy snow up on the UP for the northern part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. Some pretty significant snow there as well. Well, head out west. This is where your jackpots of snow are. You see these areas with the white here indicating over 5 feet, 5 to 6 feet of snow. And in a few places yesterday up in the Sierras, we were looking at as much as 84 inches. Now, this morning it's a little bit lower, but you're still looking at some places with up to 72 or so, maybe a little bit more in a couple of spots. And you can see the northwest part of Wyoming, Yellowstone Park. I swear my mouth does work most mornings. Apparently not this morning, though. Yellowstone Park, seeing a lot of snow right now. The Tetons also covered. You can see back down through the Wasatch Range, the Uintas, packed in snow. We've got snow over the Rockies in Colorado and much of Idaho into Montana. Think about whitefish right now. So beautiful up there. Just gorgeous in western Montana. Washington State, very heavy snows over the mountains down through Oregon and again through the Sierras. So that's a look at our snow coverage across the country. All right, we're going to change from all this winter talk to lightning now. And I mentioned we have a new lightning capital of the United States. All right, as we take a look here, this map is showing lightning that was detected in the last hour. There's nothing out there, so no lightning to speak of right now. But we're going to turn our attention to Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma, already known for its place in the heart of Tornado Alley. Well, now it has a new weather distinction. It is now the state with the highest concentration of lightning in the country. The new ranking bumps Florida off the top spot in lightning strike density. The data comes from the 2025 lightning report by Advanced Environmental Monitoring, a group that monitors lightning strikes. The weather monitors found in Oklahoma had 73 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes per square mile last year. A lightning scientist with the group says the Great Plains region of the U.S. is becoming more of an active area for intense storms. The states behind Oklahoma in lightning density are Florida, Louisiana, and Kansas. Really interesting stuff there. All right, we're going to take a very quick break. The break only lasts 2 minutes. When we come back, we're going to talk about this beautiful, bright Jupiter that will be appearing in the sky as we get into the weekend. Jupiter at opposition, and I'll have the extended look ahead. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moller. All right, we talked about this now. Stargazers will definitely want to keep their eyes to the sky in the coming few days. This weekend, Jupiter will be at its biggest and brightest. According to NASA, on January 10th, Jupiter will be at what's called opposition, meaning the Earth will be directly between Jupiter and the Sun. When we're aligned like this, Jupiter appears bigger and brighter in the night sky than it will at any other point during the year. So try to catch a glimpse of the planet. You can do that by looking to the east all evening long, and it will appear like a very, very bright star, brighter than the other ones out there. Really cool. You'll look for that. And I was talking to my wife as we were driving back, and I had noticed that super bright light in the sky, and we were thinking, I'll bet that's Jupiter. So I think it'll stand out when you look for it, but it is something to check out if you enjoy the sky gazing and the stargazing. It is something else. All right, we're going to turn our attention now to the national picture here and get into what's going to be happening over the coming week. You can see again a little unsettled around the Great Lakes, some snow and mixed precipitation for Wisconsin and some unsettled weather for the Pacific Northwest. As we get into the outlook here, I want to let you know for today we don't have a severe weather threat. But as we get into our Wednesday, you'll notice parts of Texas into Oklahoma, chances for severe weather. It's just a marginal or level 1 threat, meaning there could be a few isolated severe storms. Now you might be wondering, do they have to worry about tornadoes in Oklahoma or Texas? Well, not really, not according to the Storm Prediction Center. The primary concern here will be gusty winds, and there is some potential for hail. This does include Oklahoma City and areas north of San Angelo and just to the southeast of Lubbock. You can see that same area pretty much highlighted with a large hail threat. So again, primary threat will be some gusty winds, outflow from those storms, but there could also be some sizable hail with that as well. As we look ahead to Thursday, that severe weather threat shifts to the east, northeast, and you can see from just around the St. Louis metro area, maybe just south of St. Louis, through southern Illinois, the extreme western parts of Kentucky, down through the boot heel of Missouri, back into Springfield and Joplin, the southwest corner, or the southeast corner, rather, of Kansas, eastern Oklahoma and northeastern Texas, down through Louisiana and all of Arkansas. This does include the area of Memphis there, right along the Mississippi River. All under a level 1 threat. Again, gusty winds and some hail, the primary concerns, but that's an area that we will be monitoring as that storm system moves along. Let's take a look at what's going out there with the European model. Again, that unsettled weather staying to our north, passing by. Here's Hampton Roads, the mid-Atlantic. Things pretty quiet for much of the southeast U.S., maybe a few showers down along the Gulf Coast. As we go through the middle part of the day tomorrow, we've got chances for more wet weather along the Baja, back over into the northwest corner of Mexico. Some more rain coming into the Pacific Northwest and more snow for those areas that I showed you earlier that have already been getting so much, parts of Montana, Idaho, and the northwest corner of Wyoming, as well as the Cascades, the Olympic Mountains there. They are seeing more snow potentially, and all of that energy kind of working to the east. By Thursday, as this next storm system picks up, again, that's that outlook for severe weather. You can see that low pretty strong and tracking along to the northeast. So we're going to see a surge of warmer air here in Hampton Roads, high pressure offshore, winds coming up from the south. That's why we're going to be in the upper 60s, flirting with 70 as we go along. Thursday will be a little bit cooler, but Friday, Saturday, that's when it's going to get really warm. And then behind that system, as we get into the weekend, this one here bringing a stronger front through our area as we go later into Sunday. Chances for some wet weather. I think really the best chances on Saturday, but by early Sunday, that should be pulling out, and we're going to see colder air and breezy conditions settling in for Sunday. So a much cooler start to the week next week upcoming. For Hampton Roads in the mid-Atlantic, it's going to be cool and dry across the central U.S. and still some unsettled weather for the Pacific Northwest. That pattern, they just don't get a break. Seems like they just keep getting more and more opportunities. So that's kind of the look ahead with the Euro. Looking back, since the start of 2026, we've seen the temperatures a little bit below average. It was really chilly on the 1st there with 46 the high. We warmed it back up close to average on the 2nd. This is for Norfolk. On Saturday, another cold day, and it was pretty chilly for Sunday as well. Yesterday, we got up to 54. Today, 61. Low to mid 60s tomorrow. Little cooler, back into the mid 50s on Thursday, and then it gets warmer Friday into Saturday. How much warmer? Well, I mentioned we're going to be in the upper 60s, flirting with 70 both Friday and Saturday. So again, today near 61, 64 tomorrow, little cooler, mid 50s there Thursday, back up Friday into Saturday, and then cool into next week. But even as we look ahead to next Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be close to or a little bit above the average high of 51. That's for Hampton Roads, specifically for Norfolk. Now let's take a look at the extended outlook. This is the 8 to 14 day precip outlook. Little wetter than normal for the northern tier. Also parts of Texas down along the Mexican border there. We'll see chances for more rain, but it's going to be drier than normal for much of the eastern U.S. Here in Hampton Roads, looks like precip pretty close to average. That's 8 to 14 days out. Temperatures look to be above average, and this is really for most of the country. You don't really see anybody looking significantly below average as we go out 8 to 14 days. All right, here's where we sit this morning, upper 40s to near 50, and here we are at 9:25, and these temperatures quite mild relative to normal. We're almost to the normal high of 51. We're going to get above that as the day wears on. Should tap out about 10 degrees above it. We are dealing with some clouds in the mix. It's going to be variably cloudy today. Winds are fairly light from the southwest, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. That's the Thompson Creek Window Company sky view from Nauticus overlooking the Half Moon Cruise Terminal here in Norfolk. Winds south-southwest at 8 miles per hour, and the pressure is holding steady. Out on the water today, southwest winds shift to the south, 5 to 10 knots on the bay. And on the ocean, we could see some winds up to about 15 knots. The seas only 2 feet. So really not a bad day to be out on the water. Those water temperatures pretty chilly in the bay. 40 degrees right now, and the Atlantic Ocean water near Virginia Beach at 47. So we do have those cool waters just offshore. All right, you see the clouds breaking across parts of the region. This wet weather staying down to the south. We're going to get into our future cast. This frontal boundary will stay to the north. This one pulls a little closer. We're still going to be dry. We're looking at southwest winds, and that's what's keeping our temperatures above average today and tomorrow. The radar sweeping clear, so as we get into the future cast, what you're going to see, those temperatures responding to the southwest winds. And as we go through the afternoon today, temperatures will reach the low 60s, right around 61 at Norfolk. Again, that's normal for this time of year. Down to the southwest, around 61 or so Edenton, maybe 60 out around Emporia, slightly cooler at Elizabeth City with the winds coming in off the Albemarle Sound, cooler to the eastern shore. As we look at the forecast for this evening, skies variably to mostly cloudy for a while, but then some clearing towards sunrise tomorrow, especially to the north, and it's going to become mostly sunny tomorrow. Now, the winds are going to come in from the southwest initially, shifting to the west, and eventually the northwest later in the day. Highs tomorrow should be in the mid-60s. We're talking a high near 64 in Norfolk, 66 in Chesapeake and Franklin, a little warmer for Ahoskie, but with the winds shifting to the northwest, that sets up the cooler conditions as we look ahead to Thursday. So it will get a little bit cooler, and again, those winds eventually shifting around more to the north. Early Thursday morning, we're back into the 30s and low to mid 40s. So that cooler weather is coming. Across the region today, though, low 60s across the south side, 60 in Virginia Beach, 62 at Smithfield, Suffolk, also around 62, 63 in Chesapeake, and I expect low 60s for Portsmouth and for Norfolk. Eastern Shore is going to be cooler. Cape Charles, for instance, 52, 54 at Melfa. Out around Matthews, 54, 58 at Gloucester, temperatures near 60 in Williamsburg and Hampton. Just a really nice day with that mix of clouds and sunshine. Down across North Carolina, temperatures at the Outer Banks, close to 60 at Kill Devil Hills and Elizabeth City. A little warmer for Edenton, 63 there, 64 at Hertford. Again, a nice day with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Overnight tonight, the low is going to fall to about 51 degrees, mostly cloudy. And remember, that's our normal high. So you know tomorrow's going to be a milder day. We'll call it 63, mostly sunny. Some high clouds in the mix from time to time. Winds starting off southwest, but shifting to the west early in the day, and then the northwest during the afternoon. And that's going to keep our temperatures down a little bit as we get into Thursday. That high there around 56. It'll be mostly sunny. Now on Friday, clouds are going to increase. There is a chance for a few late day or evening showers, especially north and west. As we get into Saturday, scattered showers are possible, and I think that threat will continue into early Sunday. You'll notice those temperatures dropping from 67 on Saturday back to 53 on Sunday, so cooler and breezy there on Sunday. By Monday, we're down into the mid to upper 40s. Big drop in temps coming up into early next week. To start the week, temperatures a little bit milder Tuesday and Wednesday, but another push of cooler air late next week. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. I'd encourage you to scan our QR code that we're going to put up on the screen. This is how you can stay in touch with the 13 News Now newsroom and our mobile app. All the radar, the forecast information, traffic and breaking news alerts sent to your phone on the go. You can always stay in touch.